All right, so sorry, we just had a couple technical difficulties, but we're back in full force. We just got done talking about the Jamal Adams trade to Seattle and just how big that is. But now we're going to move on to continue on Clucas's mock NBA draft. And we are left off at the number 6 pick by the New York Knicks.
So, again, New York Knicks don't get who they wanted. We all know. We go back to last year, and the rumor all last year was supposed to be the Knicks by this season. We're supposed to end up with Kyrie, KD, and Zion. And they got neither of the three. And they made it no secret that this year they want LaMelo Ball. And obviously they're not going to get him. So I think point guard is on their biggest needs this offseason. And I think knowing that the potential that they couldn't get LaMelo Ball, they've been watching this specific guy to possibly take, and I've got them taking Cole Anthony from North Carolina.
Kind of an up and down year for the Tar Heels this year, but
yeah, injuries kind of did a little bit into that. But I like Cole Anthony. Outside of that, I think Cole Anthony's got the heart. He's definitely got the drive to want to improve and be great. I think he's a good fit for the Knicks and what they're wanting to do now. With the Knicks just hiring Tom Thibodeau, does he necessarily fit Tom Thibodeau's system? We'll see. I just hope guys like Cole Anthony and R.J. Barrett are ready to play 48 minutes a game.
Right, no kidding. But I mean, I think Cole Anthony. I really like Cole Anthony. Very not the best of circumstances at North Carolina this year. He was really the only true scoring option they had. When he didn't play, they really just did not have a chance to win, in my opinion. But I'm sure Spencer would love to say more about that, but he's not on the show this week, so.
That's what he gets.
That's what he gets, exactly. But moving on to the number 7 pick by the Chicago Bulls. Who has a lot of young talent, can this pick be the difference?
So, I believe this is like the 5th year in a row, the Chicago Bulls have the 7th pick. And I got them going point guard again. Point guard / combo guard. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, they just got Kobe White last year. I think the Bulls showed this year, and I think, in my opinion, going forward, Kobe White would be better suited coming off the bench just to be their scorer off the bench. I got them going Killian Hayes. Just kind of like Denny of I'm really high on Killian Hayes. He's a playmaker. He can do it. He can do a little bit of everything for the most part. He can score the ball. He can score the ball when asked to. He's a good facilitator. Kind of like when we were talking about Denny of is the defensive motor going to be there every day? It's kind of the question. So Killian Hayes, I think he fits well more. Fits better into that alongside of Zach LaVine. So I have them going Killian Hayes.
I mean, I'm a little interested with that pick just because Kobe White had so much success once he actually was inserted in the starting lineup this year. I mean, he had, back-to-back 30-point games. I'm really high on Kobe White. Think he's a very good player. So that pick's very interesting to me.
So with the 8th pick, I have the Charlotte Hornets. And really kind of like Golden State. Sorry here. Kind of like Golden State. It kind of not had a great collection of big men. They've gone wing / their power forward position the last couple of drafts. I think their guard tandem between Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier, if that's the direction they want to go for now, is fine with where they're at now. Obviously, outside of being a Kentucky fan, I thought the P.J. Washington pick last year was for them. So I have them going on Onyeka Okongwu to fill their center position. I actually, upside-wise, now obviously even going to Golden State is a better scenario for him. But as far as individual player upside-wise, I'm higher as a big man on Okongwu than I am Wiseman.
Really? And why is that?
I like the versatility Okongwu gives me. I like that he can play. If you actually watch his games and you watch his style of play, he could play now. Granted, it's not in today's game. It's not suited for that. He could play the 3, the 4, the 5. In my opinion, I think he's got that kind of game. I like the versatility. I like that he's a stretch big and an elite defender at the rim. And I really like his motor. I like the upside of a Kongwu as an individual player than I do a James Wiseman.
Now, I remember specifically when we did our player comparisons on the social media page, being a Miami Heat fan, I was really big on who you compared Big O to. And that was Bam Adebayo. Love Bam. He's turned into a great player in Miami. So, if a Kongwu turns into near the player Bam is, he's going to be a very successful player. But moving on with the jump shot, yes. But moving on to the number 9th pick owned by the Washington Wizards. Clucas, who do they take?
I got them going Isaac Okoro from Auburn. The reason being, I think they're going to experiment one more year with a fully healthy John Wall and a Bradley Beal and a Rui Hachimura. And experiment it for 1 year and see how it goes. And what they really need outside of that is an elite wing defender. And Okoro is going to bring that to your team. You're going to get an off the bat, worst case scenario for Okoro is he's always going to have a job in the NBA because he's going to be an elite defender. Very good perimeter defender. Very, moves his feet very well. He's a solid rebounder. I actually, and I think he could turn. He wasn't the greatest 3-point shooter at Auburn, but I think he can turn into that modern 3-and-D player that a lot of teams are looking for.
I mean, the 3-and-D player has a lot of value in today's NBA. You got to be able to stretch the field and defend it at the same time. The interesting thing about Isaac Okoro for me is who a lot of scouts compared him to, and that's Kawhi Leonard.
Unfortunately, for a lot of players, if you play the shooting guard or small forward position and you're widely considered the best perimeter defender, or at that position, your automatic comparison is Kawhi Leonard, and that's what we were talking about last week when we were talking about. I'm so tired of same players getting compared to because they do a certain thing. Mm-hmm. Just because you do a certain thing that the same player does not automatically make you that player, or you should be compared to that player.
I couldn't agree more.
Moving on, the 10th pick that's owned by the Phoenix Suns. I have them going Tyrese Halliburton, who I think is the best passer in the draft. Sees the floor very well, can shoot the ball. It's a little bit of an awkward form. It goes in. And when I say it goes in at a 42% rate from 3. So it does go in. He gave Iowa State 15 points per game last year, right around 6 rebounds, right around 7 assists. Tyrese Halliburton's got a little bit of Lonzo Ball, just with a better jump shot.
And giving a facilitator like Halliburton to go alongside of Devin Booker, I think is only going to improve Devin Booker that much more, and a DeAndre Ayton. And if Mikal Bridges can actually pan out to the player I thought he would be coming out of Villanova.
It takes a lot of pressure off Devin Booker.
Mm-hmm. That's the main thing right there.
So moving on, number 11, I have the San Antonio Spurs. And I have them going Tyrese Maxey from Kentucky. Reason be it, this one was kind of more just a me pick in terms of I think it's time for San Antonio to flip the script. Let's rethink about what we're doing here. We don't have Duncan, we don't have Parker, we don't have Ginobili, we don't have Kawhi. It's time to rethink some things. And I think you bring in a Tyrese Maxey who has shown that he has defensive potential to be very good on the defensive side of the ball. We know what he can do offensively. I think bringing in that type of speed and quickness and a guy that wants to get up and down the floor could help change what San Antonio wants to do.
My question with that is that does this mean that San Antonio is going to move away from the Derek Whites, from the DeJounte Murrays, from the Lonnie Walkers that I think Popovich is very high on?
I think with Tyrese Maxey's game, he can play next to a DeJounte Murray.
Mm-hmm.
I think both their games kind of counteract each other to where they can play together. Derek White, I wouldn't see why you still couldn't use him off the bench. as a 6-man rule.
Is Murray more of a point guard or combo though? That's my question.
Murray primarily is a point guard.
Okay.
So I think DeJounte Murray's game, with him being a facilitator and a defensive specialist alongside a Maxey who's a scorer, and can play defense on the other side of the ball, I think their games can complement each other to where they can play on the floor at the same time.
Fair enough.
12, Sacramento. This is kind of a more of the Kings going off potential. And then going Patrick Williams from Florida State. Williams' potential is there. Can play the 3 or the 4 position for Sacramento. I think what Sacramento needs to decide this offseason, what the short offseason it'll be, they need to decide what they're going to do with Marvin Bagley in terms of, is he going to play the 4 or is he going to play the 5? And they need to make that decision and stick with it. And that, I think that's going to help them going forward. Patrick Williams, like I said, can play the 3 position or the 4 position. He is a good shooter. He is a good defender, good rebounder. So this is more of a potential pick for Sacramento, but also kind of fills a need depending on what they want to do with Bagley.
And I think going back to that point, Bagley needs to be at the 5 position. Given this, his size, his ability to run the floor, and even though he is a capable shooter, he's not a stretch shooter. I think he's better suited at the 5. Again, just like I said earlier in the podcast, it's going to come down to, can he defend off the pick and rolls and that defensive IQ? But that's the one thing holding him back.
So, 13, the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans obviously are going all in on Zion. That obviously. Whether they, depending on how much money they want to throw at Brandon Ingram, if they're going to bring Brandon Ingram back, you would hope so after having an all-star year in New Orleans. They're going to surround those 2 with shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And no better than to go with probably the best shooter in college basketball last year, and Aaron Naismith from Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Naismith shot the ball better from 3 than he did from the field. Shot 51% from the field, 52% from 3.
I mean, anytime you shoot the ball at a 52% clip, you got a stroke behind that line.
So, and, gave Vanderbilt 23 points and about 5 rebounds per game. So he is capable of doing other things. But what you need to do going forward with Brandon Ingram and Zion, surround them with shooters.
Absolutely.
Just keep shooters around them at all costs. And Aaron, and their best shooter in the class, and you're not stretching, taking him at this pick. Take Aaron Naismith, who's the best shooter in the class.
And you just keep adding spacing. I'm just picturing just a spaced out Pelicans, floor with giving Zion just so many open lanes in the rim, and that just spells trouble for opposing defenses. It's a scary thought.
So 14, the Portland Trailblazers. I have them going Devin Vassell from Florida State.
Ooh, 2 Seminoles back to back.
Well, 2 Seminoles in the lottery, but
sorry.
But yeah, Devin Vassell, probably out of all of these guys outside of Wiseman, just because of his fit immediately in Golden State fits. In terms of the safest pick, in terms of who's going to be able to produce right away and not be a bust, no bust potential, I think it's Devin Vassell. I think right away he's the best 3-and-D player coming out of this class.
Wait, even better than Isaac Okoro?
Yes, because he's a better shooter.
Fair.
So Devin Vassell shot the ball at a 42% rate from 3 last year. We know how good of Duke fan, you know how good of an on-ball defender Devin Vassell is.
All too well.
So, and with Portland and with Devin Vassell, he's 6'6", 6'7", can play that 2, can play that 3 spot. He can play, that 3 spot right next with CJ and Dame, and give them that defense on the perimeter that they need.
All right. Next pick.
Oh, you don't have anything there?
No.
All right, so 15, I've got the Orlando Magic, and I'm going to have them go R.J. Hampton. The Magic's pick was probably the toughest pick out of all 30 picks, because I don't know what the hell Orlando's doing.
I don't know if they
Stafford.
know what they're doing.
You've got two centers on the roster with Vucevic and Mo Bamba. You know, they wanted to go with Mo Bamba, but re-signed Vucevic. You've got two power forwards sitting on your roster. Well, two natural position power forwards with Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac. Isaac does not need to be playing the small forward on that team. He needs to be playing the four position. And then you look, you know, 1 minute they need a point guard, and the next minute it's, oh no, we're gonna go with Markelle Fultz, and then no, it's we need a point guard, and then Evan Fournier is a free agent this offseason, and it's just like, what exactly do you need? What do you need? And so I went safe pick RJ Hampton because it fills a role of, if you are all in on Markelle Fultz, RJ can play the two spot if Evan Fournier walks in free agency. Or if you don't feel like Fultz is your guy going forward at the point guard spot, RJ Hampton can fill that role for you.
I think it's about time we actually talked about RJ Hampton. I'm surprised, you know, he's slipping this far based on all the hype surrounding him coming, you know, when he decided to skip college and go play pro overseas. It's interesting to me. It's going to be interesting to me to see how Hampton and Fultz play together. I think the project with Markelle Fultz going to Orlando, getting away from Philadelphia, has worked very well. Fournier, when he signed the big contract about 4 years ago, was not a fan of it. I thought he was getting paid way too much money for what he is.
But he played into that contract eventually. For the most part.
You can make that argument, sure, but I mean, I just wasn't a fan. I feel like they could have thrown more money at somebody that is going to give you more than what Fournier is. But yeah, I'm just interested to see how Hampton and Fultz play together, because I think that is the backcourt that the Magic are looking to go towards going forward. But you know, it's funny when you talk about they have two starting caliber centers, or potentially starting caliber centers, two potentially starting caliber power forwards. At least at the top, it kind of reminds me of what Kentucky basketball thought they had in 2015 with the platoon system. And that's what it looks like they're going for, but have yet to be very successful, to where they can play one lineup, with very solid caliber players, and then go towards another lineup with very solid caliber players. I mean, the Clippers are probably the closest to that mold right now, but I don't know. The Magic are just trying and not working right
now. And the weird part is they still win, and they still find themselves in the playoffs. That's
at like an 8 seed, right?
Granted it's the East, but I mean, still the fact that you don't know what the hell you're doing, and you're still finding your way in.
Find a way to win, baby. Just win.
16, the Timberwolves, who own this pick from is it the Brooklyn Nets, I believe they own this pick from.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have them going Josh Green from Arizona. Blake Beasley is a restricted free agent this offseason, so how much money are you willing to throw at him, or are you willing to match money that any other team offers? And you know, you have D'Angelo Russell, obviously. That's your point guard that you're rolling with. I think whether you bring back Beasley or you don't, Josh Green fits well next to a D'Angelo Russell because he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands. He's a solid defender, could shoot the ball. I think he fits in with what Minnesota is wanting to do going forward. So,
what were Josh Green's stats at Arizona?
So Josh Green at Arizona averaged 12 points, about 5 rebounds, and shot the ball about 42% from the field, 36 from 3, and 78 from the free throw line.
See, that's the thing. When I watched Josh Green in high school, I had a lot higher expectations for him at Arizona. Definitely, I think has a higher potential as a pro player than he was the 1 year in college. Absolutely, but it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But to be honest, how much he struggled at Arizona is concerning for me if I'm the Timberwolves.
So, 17, the Boston Celtics. And you have my pulled up where I have what is this for you? The trade from?
The trade from the Grizzlies.
This is the Grizzlies trade. So if you don't know, this was the Grizzlies trade they made a while back. Had this landed within the had this landed in the lottery, the Grizzlies would have kept this pick, but obviously the Grizzlies are sitting in the playoffs right now, so it's Boston's. And I have Boston going a big man here. And I have them going Daniel Turu from Minnesota. If you look at what Boston, when the roster they have now, what they're missing is they're really missing that center position. And yes, Enes Kanter is a solid center choice for now. But when you're talking about statistically the worst defensive center in the NBA, you're going to need some help at that center position. So Daniel Toru gives you that nice combination of he can give you offense, but he's also very good on the defensive end, and he's a stretch big, which plays a huge factor into it.
My question now, more than Oturu, comes with what happens with Robert Williams.
See, I think Robert Williams doomed himself from day one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when your first team meeting, you show up late. You know, he's had some issues here and there with showing up late to practices and here. I think he's shot himself in the foot in terms of his own development and way Boston wants to use him.
Sure, and I think when you shot yourself in the foot and already established that kind of reputation for yourself within the organization, I think it's best just to have a change of scenery. I mean, potential-wise, athleticism-wise, I thought ironically came from the same school. I saw a lot of a DeAndre Jordan and Robert Williams, but given his priorities, for lack of a better word, he's on his way out in Boston.
Yep. And so, like I said, Oturu fits right in and can fill that center need for them. 18, the Dallas Mavericks. We know they have Boy Wonder and Luka. They have KP and Kristaps Porzingis. And I think with this pick, you slide Porzingis to that 5 position. And I think you bring in Saddiq Bey from Villanova to fill in that 4 position. And I know you really like Saddiq Bey.
I like Saddiq Bey, not as an all-star caliber player in the NBA, but as like a glue guy, a Swiss Army knife guy, can do a lot of things good, nothing really great, but is going to give you 110% effort. My question is, he's about 6'6". I mean, I know basketball is going smaller, but do we really want him at that 4 spot? I mean, can he stretch the floor as well as Kleber? Why not have him at the 3?
Saddiq Bey did shoot the ball 45% from 3 last year.
I mean, he did.
That's so he can shoot.
Oh, he absolutely can shoot. I don't know. I mean, also Jay Wright's system does make shooters look a lot better than they are in college. He has a knack of getting a lot of guys a lot more open looks, especially that's just the system he's ran for years. I mean, even before coming to Villanova. But my question: why not run him at the 3? Why not have Kleber at the 4, KP at the 5? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like you said, Saddiq Bey is a Swiss Army knife. He can pretty much play wherever. So I guess it would be more of based off of, what lineup are you going up against that night?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously if, the opposing team's power forward has a little bit more height on, then yes, you would probably slide Saddiq Bey to the 3 or possibly come off the bench. I guess it would just depend on what kind of lineups Rick Carlisle wants to use and what lineup are you playing against.
Me personally, I think the Mavericks have a very underrated roster as it is.
I agree. And it's funny that you say Swiss Army knife with Saddiq Bey, because when you look at Dallas starting with Luka, that's what their roster is built off of, is a bunch of guys that can fill in and play at a bunch of different positions.
I mean, just bring you a whole bunch of – I mean, they just play so well off of each other. That's one thing that just really stands out for me. I mean, you know what Luka's going to give you. You know what KP is going to give you. But, I mean, even not to bank too much off of a scrimmage, but you then got a guy like Seth Curry, went to Duke, by the way, comes in off the scrimmage, scores 23 points, goes 8 for 8 from the field and 6 for 6 from 3 the other night in the scrimmage. And, 15 minutes, I believe? I mean, just phenomenal. It's not just Luka and KP. They have a bunch of guys that can step in and fill voids when needed to, and that's what I really like about Dallas.
So moving on to number 19, the Milwaukee Bucks, who own this pick from the Malcolm Brogdon trade last year from Indiana. So I have them going Jalen Smith from Maryland, and honestly, I think this is another perfect fit. I feel like Jalen Smith gives you at that 5 position what you need with a Giannis right next to him. Gives you that stretch big, gives you a very good rim protector. I really like the fit. Got anything to add from that?
I do. So what happens to Brook Lopez?
Brook Lopez is a free agent.
Fair enough.
So the question is, do you want to bring him back? Knowing that you have a super max contract is in play for Giannis next season.
Well, you know Giannis is going to go to the Heat. You know that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we want to happen. That's what I would love to see happen, but I don't know. We'll see if Pat Riley can work his magic. Given how much the technical difficulties have set us back, I think we need to skim through the next couple picks, so the next 10 picks, so that we can get to recruiting. But we just want to rattle them off real quick. Say it
Brooklyn, we have Leandro Balmaro. Just kind of that international guy. We know Brooklyn, just New York in general, whether it be the Knicks or the Nets, kind of like taking those international guys and taking a chance on them. So I got them going there. Precious Achiuwa to Denver was another – to the Nuggets at 21 was another good fit. Paul Millsap, free agent this year. I think more than likely Denver lets him go due to age. I think Precious Achiuwa and Jeremy Grant can fill in that void at a 4 position next to a Jokic and play well with him. 22, I have the 76ers, Tyrell Terry out of Stanford. I had a point guard need here for Philadelphia because they're wanting to slide Ben Simmons to that 4 position. They like that they've seen out of the scrimmages with him at the 4 position. And I thought about Nico Mannion, but Tyrell Terry being a better shooter, I think was a better fit for – yes, Tyrell Terry, a better shooter.
Based on percentages or just in general?
We're going off in general and percentages.
Okay. I don't know about in general, but percentages maybe, but I don't know about in general. Nico's got a clip.
He does, but so does Tyrell Terry. So I think he's a better fit next to a Ben Simmons to stretch the floor, kind of another situation where Zion, where you just need to surround shooters around Ben Simmons. Miami, I know you're going to want to talk about this just a little bit just because it's your team. I had Kyra Lewis Jr. from Alabama. So I want your thoughts on this when you saw it.
I was going to let you rattle it off, but since you're going to call me out on this one, here's my thing. With Nico Mannion still available, I don't know if Miami would be willing to pass on that. Another player, and this is reading a bunch of Miami Heat beat writers. It's clear that the Heat need a point guard. That's their one area of need. They average about 25. They average close to over 15 turnovers a game plus. That's been the one thing holding them back. And so a point guard is a clear area of need with them. With Nico Mannion still available, I don't know if they would pass on him. But the one guy that they're really sold on, from what I'm hearing from Miami beat writers, is Trey Jones. They believe he fits that Heat culture with that stingy defense and being able to see the floor well. Just talk about just a match made in heaven. Trey Jones fits very well. And, of course, being a Duke fan, would not be upset about that. We get Miami Heat get the ACC Player of the Year. I'm good. I would be good with it. But I just don't see them going with him over Nico or Trey.
Reason why I picked Kyra for Miami is because a couple things that I had read on it. There was a couple different sites, actually, when I was doing research that had Kyra Lewis going to Miami. Simply because of the fact of they said when you're looking at what Miami does offensively and what they want to do, they want to run up and down the floor. They want to run, shoot, the fast break and everything. And that fits Kyra Lewis completely. Kyra Lewis wants to get out and run at all costs. And he fits that, get out and run, can make the pass in the open court, can finish at the rim. That, a lot of guys are saying that he fits into Miami just based off what they want to do offensively.
I mean, he may, if they do draft him, I hope he works out. But I think Trey Jones and Nico fit just as well with what the Heat are doing. So,
but at 24, I do like the Nico fit at Utah.
I do. Actually, I will say, though, is if, being a non-Heat fan, for this, being level-headed, I do like Nico's fit in Utah better than in Miami. He's playing next to Donovan Mitchell, playing under a
And
coach like
especially
Quinn
when
Snyder.
especially when you're gonna get a year to learn to play with Mike Conley as well.
Exactly.
So I really like the Nico fit in Utah. 25, I have Oklahoma City. You're going to lose Danilo Gallinari, who can play the 3 or the 4. So I kind of replaced him with the guy that's got the potential to be a top 10 pick. But it's, he's kind of been slipping off, whether it be his attitude or, just his, the way his motor. And Jaden McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
He was obviously one of the highly talented, players in the recruiting class last year. So it's, we'll see how he pans out in the NBA. But I think he could fill in that Danilo role in terms of playing, being switched 3 or 4, can play. Let's see. I had 26 Boston. I went Theo Maledon, another international guy from just a backup point guard. Different play style from Kemba Walker. Can still come into Boston and fit that need because he's very good on the defense on the perimeter. Can move the ball around. Doesn't take anything away from even when he's on the floor at the same time from a Kemba, a Jaylen Brown, or a Jason Tatum. So, 27, the New York Knicks from the Clippers trade with when they made the trade for Marcus Morris. I'm not exactly sure how to say his first name. If you want to try to look at it and give it your best guess.
Alexei.
Yeah, would it be Alexei?
That's what I'm getting out of it.
And then Pokusevski, would be my
Pokusevski. Pokusevski.
So, yeah, international player coming over. Knicks, all year the joke has been they've got 12 power forwards playing on the roster at one time. Yeah, here's another power forward, but I think he could fill a backup center / power forward need, and he brings in a different play style from a Mitchell Robinson. Brings in a little bit more offense than what a Mitchell Robinson will bring in. 28, the Toronto Raptors, I have them going Jahmi'us Ramsey from Texas Tech. The possibility of losing Fred VanVleet in free agency, who I think could be on a Heat radar for a point guard in free agency as well.
I'd be all right with it.
You're losing a Fred VanVleet. I think you replace him with another guy that can score the ball, is good defensively on the perimeter, and can shoot. I think Jahmi'us Ramsey, and we all know how well Toronto develops as well. I think he could develop into a very good player there. The Lakers, I want to talk about this pick a little bit because it has to do with that hat that you have on. I have the Lakers taking Trey Jones. So I'll let you give your input first.
I think it's a good fit. It'd be a good fit. The Lakers, at least for the time being, would need a good defensive point guard to come in, make plays, has an improving jump shot, plus being paired with another Duke point guard off the bench to kind of serve as a mentor. I believe it's a good fit. I just stand by my statement that I think Miami's high on him, and I think that's where Trey goes. But I like the fit. I have no beef with it.
I like the fit because it brings in defense on the perimeter. The Lakers have established as their identity that their 2 guards have to be very good defenders. Alongside with LeBron, just running the show, pretty much as the primary ball handler on the offensive side. And then last pick, I had Zeke Naji going to Boston from Arizona, the big man, just Boston loading up on big guys to replace the ones they have.
I was going to say, Boston, it just seems like they're just loading and loading and loading and loading and loading, and none are just working out. I mean, you just
so,
maybe eventually one will work out?
But then when you look at it, the reason why, you just stockpile on the big man, you're looking at the guard position and the forward positions, they're stockpiled all over.
Oh, they're loaded.
So
if they can just get that one productive center, watch out.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Especially Jason Tatum is coming.
He's here. What you mean?
Oh, he's still coming. Trust me.
Oh, he's definitely getting better, but he's here. He's here and improving.
So,
but anyways, That wraps up Clucas's mock draft. Please give us your input and what you think on it in the comment section below. But as always, we got to touch on recruiting. And, given that Clucas gave an awesome take on the mock draft, I'm going to start the recruiting news off by something that probably makes his day. And that is that Ohio State stole a recruit from Clemson here recently. And they got former Clemson commit, four-star cornerback Jordan Hancock to commit to the Ohio State University. Clucas, have you seen much of him? Is he going to fit in nicely? What are your thoughts?
I mean, any defensive back can fit into DBU. I mean, we can just bring him right in. And
is he ready?
he's going to be great.
He's on that Ohio State DBU bandwagon. I like it.
So
forget LSU or Alabama, but
if we're talking about recency here, DBU belongs to Ohio State.
That's fair. There's a lot of good DBs that have come to.
If we're talking about recency, DBU and wide receiver U belongs to Ohio State.
Wide receiver U might have to go to Clemson or Alabama. I don't know. Might have to go to Alabama if we're talking recency.
Maybe more recency. Maybe more recently, yeah, Alabama. But
yeah,
we're definitely there. If anything, we definitely own defensive line U. So that's not even up for an argument. There was a picture the other day I seen yesterday. There's a picture of Nick Bosa and Chase Young that were chasing after a quarterback, and the caption said, "What do you do next if you're the quarterback?" And I said, "I'm just dropping down immediately. I'm not even
just pulling a Peyton Manning after the 4 neck procedures and just slide down."
But yeah, I watched the guy. Solid in man coverage. Better in zone coverage. I think he'll have to improve on his man-to-man skills or one-on-one skills. But I mean, outside of that, it's a good fit.
Say other news concerning recruiting is that a player that we won't spend a lot of time on this because, but a player that played on the same Montverde national championship team as R.J. Barrett, as Mike DeVoe, Andrew Nimhard, but Philip Petrusev, Gonzaga big man, is leaving Gonzaga to play professionally, just not in the NBA. He's going back to Serbia to play for the club team Mega BMAX. So very interesting news I thought there. But the biggest recruiting news that I saw is that the Baylor Bears, given the success that they had last year, incorporating the no-middle defense, signed 5-star recruit Kendall Brown. Watching Kendall Brown, absolutely love his athleticism. Brown is the 4th highest rated recruit in Baylor history, behind Isaiah Austin, Quincy Miller, and Perry Jones. Very interesting, I thought. But he's a 6'6" wing. He's got superb athleticism. He defends well, excels moving without the basketball, especially on the give and go. That's his go-to play. When he just with how well he moves on the back cuts and without the basketball is superb. I'm not really big on his ball handling skills and getting separation. I think he has a tendency to drive too much into traffic and pull up for a contested mid-range. But without the basketball, he finds a way to get open, especially on lobs. He doesn't have a lot of deep range at this point in his career, but very solid mid-range shot. Of course, you got to if you're going to pull up and contest that as many times as he does. He's again shaky ball handler. I don't really like him as a primary ball handler in that offense, but if he can be maybe the secondary or third ball handler, I think Baylor would be okay. But question being, given that Baylor just signed their 4th highest recruit in program history, how much of the success panned into that from last season?
I think it panned out a lot. If you look, this is kind of a trend for Baylor. Go back into that 2010, 2011. They had a real solid year, and they ended up with guys like Quincy Miller and guys like Deuce Bello, high school mixtape legend. You ended up with guys like that. You get these guys, they see a little bit of success, and they're willing to take the chance. And then you saw after that, guys like Isaiah Austin and Perry Jones ended up going. This is kind of a trend for Baylor. They have that one good season and they get a couple of good recruits. So I think the success that they had this season definitely played a role into some of these guys actually wanting to take a chance to go there.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Baylor in particular is a common trend. When they actually show even the slightest success, they're able to jump in on recruits that not just talented recruits, but recruits that fit what they're trying to do. Given Brown's playing style and his athleticism, I think he is, as well as as great of an athlete as he is and a weapon he is in the lob game, the no middle defense, and given his athleticism and his defensive prowess, that's where he's going to excel, at least immediately at Baylor. But no, that's going to wrap it up for today.
Well,
though.
hold on. As far as recruiting, I don't remember the kid's name exactly. I apologize, but there was a 5-star that committed to Florida State earlier this week.
Hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
He was out of Georgia. I remember that because I remember bringing it up to my boss because he's from Georgia. Don't remember the kid's name exactly. I remember I think it said he was a combo guard.
For 2020 or 2021?
It might have been 2021.
Okay, 2021. Let's see here. Florida State?
Yeah.
Their highest ranked recruit in the class of 2021 is Matthew Cleveland, a 4-star combo guard out of Georgia.
That might have been him. He might have been rated 5-star based off a different site.
I'll say 24/7 has him ranked. He's on that bubble though, because he's a 4-star. He's graded a 98.98, so he's about 0.02 away from being a 5-star caliber. He was a 5-star recruit this time last year. Now he's slipped 9 spots from the 15th spot to the 24th overall spot. He's still the second-rated player in Georgia. Interesting, his scouting report: good length for a wing scorer, an explosive athlete with top-notch body control, slasher who specializes in making tough shots, can keep defense honest with long-range shooting but needs to improve in that area. Handles well, especially in the half court. Not necessarily a playmaker for others. Great potential as a versatile defender. Top-notch rebounder for his position. And his projection is a second-round pick with a pro comparison of O'Shea Brissett of the Toronto Raptors. So that is Mr. Matthew Cleveland.
Yeah, I was going to say that was one I remember seeing earlier this week. So just wanted to point that out if he was a 5-star. Didn't want to miss a 5-star signing.
No, we definitely don't. But no, anyways, that's all the time we have for today. As always, just tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, and give us some feedback on what you'd also like to hear on the show. But we have, obviously, with sports coming back, we're going to have a lot more topics to talk about in recent shows. But until next time, this is Les Abbott.
Jacob Klugas.
We out.